For too long, India was seen only as a consumer in the global defense marketplace, a nation that bought what it needed, relied on imports, and followed the lead of more established powers. But with the successful export of its first air defense system, India has flipped that script. This isn't just about hardware. This is a redefinition of India's identity in the global power structure. We are no longer just a market. We are now a maker, a creator of solutions, a provider of security, and a partner in peace. This milestone didn't happen overnight. It's the result of decades of determination, policy reform, technological innovation, and unshakable national will. The journey began with small steps, local manufacturing mandates, investments in research and development, public-private collaboration. Slowly but surely, India built the capability to not just defend itself, but to defend others. That's what this export represents. It's not merely a transaction, it's a transformation. It's India standing tall and saying to the world, we build what you can trust. We deliver what keeps you safe. And there's something deeply symbolic about this. You see, in the past, when conflict brewed or threats emerged, countries turned to certain usual suspects for military support and supplies. Today, India is being called upon. That's not charity, that's respect. That's recognition earned through performance, precision, and integrity. This air defense system isn't just made in India. It's made with intention, with rigor, with a commitment to excellence. And when another nation chooses it, they aren't just buying a machine, they're buying into a vision of sovereignty, of strength, of shared security. Let's not overlook what it takes to get here. Think of the engineers burning midnight oil in labs across Bengaluru and Hyderabad. Think of the defense analysts who calculated every threat vector. Think of the manufacturers who made sure every component met exacting standards. This export is a product, yes, but more than that, it's a testament to India's capacity to dream big, to build boldly, and to compete on the world's toughest stage. It also speaks to a deeper truth. True power isn't measured by how much you consume. It's measured by how much value you create and how much strength you offer others. India's evolution into a defense exporter marks a shift from dependence to influence. When we export systems designed to protect, we're not fueling conflict. We're enabling deterrence. We're helping other nations defend their people, their skies, their futures. That is responsible power. That is leadership. This moment, this achievement, should ignite something in every Indian. A sense of pride, yes, but also a sense of purpose, because this isn't the final destination. It's the beginning of a broader journey. Today, it's air defense. Tomorrow, it's artificial intelligence, hypersonics, autonomous systems. If we can do this, we can do anything. We are not limited by history. We are empowered by it. So let this export stand as more than a headline. Let it be a signal to our youth that innovation has a home here, a signal to our global partners that India builds with trust, and a signal to our own future that we're not just watching history. We're making it, because when India rises, it doesn't rise alone. It lifts others with it. That's how power becomes purpose. These systems weren't handed down to us. They weren't borrowed, leased, or modified from someone else's legacy. They were envisioned, designed, and perfected right here, on Indian soil, by Indian minds. Every circuit, every sensor, every line of code in this air defense system is the result of our own grit and genius. It's not just another export. It's a symbol of how far we've come as a nation that believes in building its future, not waiting for it. For years, we chased technology from abroad. We signed deals, negotiated access, and tried to bridge the gap. But now the gap has closed, and not because someone else slowed down, but because we sped up. We made the investments. We trusted our scientists. We funded our research institutions. We invited private industry to the table. And now the result stands before the world, a fully indigenous air defense system that meets global standards and wins international trust. What makes this achievement remarkable is the consistency and clarity behind it. This isn't a one-off success, it's the result of a clear national strategy. Precision isn't just built into the technology, it's built into the process that created it. Every test, every trial, every field simulation was executed with discipline. Nothing about this was rushed. Nothing was left to chance. That's why today nations across the world are looking at this Indian innovation not with skepticism, but with interest, because quality speaks louder than promises. When a country chooses to place its trust in your system of defense, they're not just choosing a product. They're choosing a relationship, and that relationship is built on reliability. It's built on performance. It's built on knowing that what you're getting wasn't built in a rush for headlines, but carefully crafted for long-term security. That's the message India sends with this export. We don't just build to meet the moment, we build to last. And let's be honest, there's power in that, there's dignity in it, because it tells a different story about India, not a story of a country forever in catch-up mode, but of a nation that can lead with calm confidence. This isn't about beating anyone else to the punch. This is about standing strong in our own lane and delivering something the world needs, crafted not just with intelligence, but with purpose. In fact, this export marks more than a commercial achievement. It marks a diplomatic moment, because when a country chooses India as its defense partner, that's not just a financial decision. It's a political and strategic one. It means India is seen as stable, dependable, and forward-looking. And that kind of trust isn't bought. It's earned through years of consistent policy, transparent action, and a commitment to peace through strength. We are not just sending out machinery. We are sending a message that Indian innovation is real, that Indian quality is world-class, and that India is ready to step up when it counts. That readiness, that capability, that integrity. It's what makes this moment historic. And it's what will fuel the next chapter of our defense, aerospace, and technological rise. Because when you build with precision and lead with values, the world doesn't just notice, the world follows. Security, real security, is not about fear. It's about trust. It's about knowing that when the moment comes, when the threat is near and the stakes are high, you're not standing alone. You've got something solid, something proven, something you can count on. That's what India is offering the world today with the export of its first air defense system. Not a show of force, a show of faith, a commitment to shared safety in an increasingly unpredictable world. Because true power isn't what you hold over others, it's what you're willing to share. When we speak of exporting defense systems, we're not talking about selling war. We're talking about providing tools of protection to partners who want peace just as much as we do. This air defense system is designed not to strike first, but to safeguard. It exists to shield lives, defend airspace, and prevent the unthinkable. In a world where missiles can cross borders in minutes, and drones can change battlefields in seconds, having a reliable defense isn't optional. It's essential. And now, India is stepping up to offer that shield to others. But here's the real strength in what we're doing. We're not hoarding power, we're distributing stability. That's the mark of mature leadership. In times past, global defense powerhouses held onto their technology like a crown jewel, using it as leverage, trading it for influence. But India is building a new model, one where security is not a currency of control, but a bridge to partnership. When another country accepts an Indian air defense system, they aren't just buying equipment. They're entering into a relationship based on equality, on respect, and on mutual security. This is where diplomacy and technology shake hands. Every radar system we ship, every interceptor we export, carries with it a deeper message. We see you, we respect your sovereignty, and we stand with you in defense of peace. That's not politics, that's principle, and it's a principle the world is starting to notice. Because in a time of shifting alliances and rising tensions, reliability matters, and India, with its track record of restraint, strategy, and responsibility, is proving itself to be a reliable power. The nations that come to us today aren't just doing so because our technology works. They're doing it because our values work. We are not in the business of fueling arms races. We are in the business of enabling deterrence. That's a major difference, and that's what makes this export so significant. We're not just filling a need, we're setting a standard where defense cooperation isn't about dominance, but about dignity, where collaboration is built on transparency, not tactics. And this matters even more in the times we're living in, with conflicts flaring up in corners of the world and smaller nations caught in the crossfire. The need for dependable partners has never been greater. By sharing our technology, by opening the door to cooperative defense, we are helping stabilize regions, not destabilize them. That is what responsible power looks like. That is what the world needs more of. So let this be remembered not just as a moment of export, but as a moment of example, when India showed that strength can be generous, that technology can be principled, and that power, when shared wisely, becomes peace. Behind every great leap forward there are silent warriors, those who don't make the headlines, don't sit at press conferences, and don't seek applause. But they are the reason moments like this become possible. India's first air defense system export isn't just a business deal or a milestone in engineering. It's a salute to every individual who worked behind the scenes. It's a tribute to the minds and hands that turned ambition into action, sketches into systems, and risk into reward. Because progress is never the product of luck. It's the result of long, often unseen labor by people who believe in something bigger than themselves. Think about the scientists in DRDO labs, who spent years refining algorithms and recalibrating radar ranges, not for fame, but for function. Think about the engineers who ran countless simulations, adjusted trajectories by milliseconds, and built systems that respond to threats faster than the human eye can blink. These aren't just technical people. They're national assets, guardians of the invisible. Every one of them played a role in creating something that now protects not just Indian airspace, but soon the skies of other nations too. But it doesn't stop with the scientists. There's a soldier's story behind this export as well. Every piece of this system was designed with real battlefield needs in mind, tested in real environments, refined by feedback from those who face real dangers. The Indian soldier, disciplined, sharp, experienced, has been part of this journey from day one. Their insights helped turn theory into practice. Their needs defined the specs. So when we export this air defense system, we're also exporting their experience, their courage, their standard of excellence. And then there are the strategists, the defense planners, the policymakers who understood that self-reliance isn't just an economic goal. It's a strategic necessity. They didn't chase the headlines, they chased outcomes. They worked on doctrine, procurement, testing, deployment, and finally, diplomacy, threading every piece together so that today, India isn't just a customer at the global table. India is a contributor, a creator of strategic value. That's not just evolution, that's elevation. This system, now ready to protect another nation's skies, carries with it all those layers of effort, sacrifice, and brilliance. It's a technological marvel, yes, but also a deeply human achievement. When it launches into operation abroad, it launches with the fingerprints of hundreds of Indian innovators, defenders, and decision makers. And that's something no machine can measure. That's national pride. And we must not forget the ecosystem that nurtured all of this. the private firms that partnered with public agencies, the young startups that built key components, the manufacturing plants that hit impossible deadlines, and the logistic teams that moved heaven and earth to deliver on time. India's defense export is not a solo act. It's a symphony, a convergence of minds, missions, and momentum. This is why today's success matters so much, because it wasn't handed to us. It wasn't outsourced. It was earned at every level by people whose names may never be known, but whose legacy now travels beyond borders. When another country launches this Indian-made shield into the sky, they're trusting not just a machine, but a community, a nation, a belief that when India builds, it builds with heart, with discipline, and with purpose. And that purpose is what will carry us even further. This moment is not just a victory in the marketplace or a headline in defense circles. It's a tribute to the relentless drive of our scientists, the foresight of our strategists, the courage of our soldiers, and the quiet force of every Indian who believed this day would come. The export of India's first indigenous air defense system is more than a transaction. It's a salute to the generations who pushed through limitations, who built with vision, and who worked, not for recognition, but for the pride of their nation. Behind this single export lies the story of countless individuals who said yes when it was easier to say no. Yes to staying late in labs to meet the next testing deadline. Yes to pushing the boundaries of what Indian technology could achieve. Yes to believing that Indian systems could stand shoulder with the best in the world. They didn't just build a machine, they built belief, and today that belief has wings. Every successful intercept, every radar lock, every precision calculation that makes this air defense system work. Those aren't just feats of engineering. They are echoes of discipline, of long hours, of failures turned into lessons, of quiet resolve that said, "We can and we will." You don't see those stories on screens, but they live in the performance of the system. They breathe in every microsecond of response time. They carry the spirit of excellence. Our soldiers, too, have shaped this moment in more ways than one, not just as protectors on the front lines, but as collaborators in development. Their insights, born from real-world threats and field-tested experience, guided the very design of this system. They made sure it wasn't just theoretically sound, it was battle-ready, and now the very systems forged through their feedback are headed to guard the skies of partner nations. That's legacy, that's impact, that's India, and let's not overlook the strategists, the quiet thinkers and planners who made this export possible. It takes more than engineering to cross that finish line. It takes vision, patience, timing. They charted the course, aligned policy, cleared regulatory hurdles, and ensured that this export didn't just happen, it happened right. They turned ambition into diplomacy, capability into credibility. And now the world is watching India not just as a rising power, but as a responsible one. Even the logistics behind this success speak to something deeper. The coordination of testing facilities, the flawless execution of trials, the detailed documentation, and international compliance. None of that happens by accident. It happens when a nation works as one. When the public and private sectors partner with purpose, when state institutions trust private talent, and when everyone in the chain, whether building, testing, certifying, or shipping, understands the importance of their role. This export is not an isolated win. It's a result of a unified national effort, guided by principle and powered by people. It's a reminder that India's strength lies not just in its scale, but in its synergy. When we come together, from labs to leadership, from soldiers to suppliers, we don't just create technology, we create history. And now, as this system takes off beyond our borders, let it carry with it not just payloads and protection, but a message that India is here. not only to build for itself, but to contribute to a safer, more stable world. That every system we deliver is a reflection of who we are, determined, dependable, and deeply driven by purpose. This is not the end of a journey. It is the ignition of something far greater. The export of India's first air defense system is not just about a product leaving our shores. It's about a nation launching itself into a new orbit, a higher altitude of ambition, a wider sky of opportunity. Today, the system takes off, but more importantly, so does the dream that built it. Because this success isn't the destination, it's the runway. For decades, we focused on protecting our borders, on achieving self-reliance in critical technologies. And now, having reached that threshold, we're beginning to export what we once imported. But don't think this is where we stop. This is just the first roar of the engine. From here, we move towards something bigger. This milestone opens the gates for what comes next. Next-generation air defense, unmanned aerial systems, cyber, resilient command networks, space-based surveillance. India is no longer looking to catch up. We're looking to lead. We've seen what's possible when our scientists, engineers, and strategists unite behind a vision. That same drive will now push us forward into developing systems that are smarter, faster, more autonomous. Systems that don't just defend but deter, that don't just react but predict. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, quantum computing, these aren't future ideas. They are present realities, and we are stepping into them with confidence, backed by proof that we can turn ideas into impact. The private sector, once a silent observer, is now a powerful engine in this momentum. With every successful export, doors open for startups, mid-sized manufacturers, and research labs across India to participate in global defense supply chains. They are not waiting for permission anymore. They're demanding opportunity, and this export proves that the opportunity is real. With it comes responsibility, and India is ready to deliver on both. International partners have seen what we've achieved. More will come, not just to buy, but to collaborate, to co-develop, to co-produce, to share knowledge and build networks of trust. We're not interested in a one-way street. We're building a two-way path of respect, innovation, and shared security. Because in this new era, it's not about being a supplier. It's about being a strategic ally. That's what this air defense system represents. Even in space and aerospace, the sky is no longer the limit. From satellite-guided precision systems to integrated space-based radar warning systems, India's defense aspirations are expanding beyond Earth. We're no longer looking up at the stars wondering when, we're designing the how. This is where India's defense vision becomes a part of something much larger. Global security frameworks, space defense architecture, next-gen deterrence ecosystems. And we must not forget what fuels all this: our people. Our youth, the next generation of dreamers, coders, makers, and mission commanders. They are watching today's achievement not as spectators, but as future participants. When they see that India can build, export, and lead, they know that they too can innovate, create, and change the world. That's the real lift-off. That's the thrust that will carry us into tomorrow. So yes, today the system takes off. But tomorrow, it's satellites, smart defense, autonomous platforms, and a global reputation that isn't just catching up, but setting the pace. India's defense story is no longer just a chapter. It's becoming the blueprint, and the world is starting to read it line by line. Because in the end, it's not just about what we launch. It's about how high we're willing to fly.